Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel for another new video with Miles. We're in his room this time, and we are going to be chatting today about Doctor Who episode titles. Another chat style video where we just get a topic and run with it and see what comes out of it.
Yeah, because I don't know how rambly this one's going to be, because there's a lot of different things to talk about. I mean,
Definitely.
episode titles, you can go on for ages.
I mean, in terms of how well the titles reflect stories, alternative titles for stories, the number of words in an episode title and how effective the longer or shorter ones can be, all that kind of stuff. So, I don't know where to start really, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think the best place to start maybe is, I don't know, great stories with terrible titles?
Yeah,
and then vice versa.
Why not? Yeah,
you know,
great stories with terrible titles.
I'm trying to think of that actually. What story is great and then you think the title's a bit naff? Because I don't know if there is. I don't know. I can't think of any really.
Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS is one with
nice
title and
exactly
story.
And it's also one that I remember when that title was announced. I sort of went, wow, I'm really excited for this. How can you have a title, Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS, and make it the most boring, bland episode ever?
It's completely dull.
A title like that should automatically make it the best episode ever, but obviously not. It was just, awful.
Yes, because that reminds me as well of, since we've been fans in our lifetime, usually the way you kind of find out about episode titles, certainly since the Smith era started, was through the Radio Times. I don't know if it's the same for you, and they have the episode guides at the start of each season, and you'd get all those titles. I mean, for me, the Series 5 one sticks in the memory, and seeing things like Amy's Choice, and Amy's going to be pregnant, and what's that about? Wow. All that kind of stuff, and things like the Pandorica Opens.
Well, maybe one of the Series 5 ones, like Vincent and the Doctor. As a young child, that as a title was just a bit sort of like, okay. But it's obviously, it's such a beautiful episode, and the title is exactly what it needs to be. It's just about Vincent and the time he met the Doctor. But like as a child, the stories that you'd really go, wow, I can't wait for that, is like Victory of the Daleks, Time of Angels.
If they put the monster in it, because there are quite a few that have monsters in, like, of the Daleks or of the Cybermen or whatever. Because that's the purpose of a title, I suppose, to kind of grab your attention.
Well, I was going to say
before you watch the episode.
Would you, the titles of stories that reveal the villain? A lot of the Dalek stories always have Dalek in the title. Do you think it's best to have that because then it means that people are excited for it, they're going to watch it? Or do you think it's good to save the surprise and have a title like EARTHSHOCK or Resolution and really not reveal it?
I think it does depend on the particular story, but certainly there are ones. I mean, I can't think off the top of my head, but there are stories like that where you have the Daleks, like particularly the classic ones where you watch them and it's the title sequence at the start and it comes up with like something of the Daleks. And the cliffhanger at the end of part 1 is the Daleks appearing. It's like,
it's like, whoa,
whoa.
Didn't expect that. Well, I mean, they did something like that for the invasion of the dinosaurs. The first part of that episode is called Invasion.
Call it
just Invasion.
Not Invasion.
So you have no idea that the dinosaurs are gonna pop up, and then that's the cliffhanger. So it's like, wow, and then the rest of the story is Invasion of the Dinosaurs. I think the classic series probably did that more than the new series. Really, I can think of a lot of like Cyberman stories. The invasion, the Cybermen don't turn up till episode 4, so you wouldn't have any idea, really. And again, EARTHSHOCK is probably the big one because you'd have no idea.
Yeah, no idea.
So yeah, whether it's best to save the surprise or really, scream it out in the titles, I don't know. Is Resolution the only Dalek story that's not got Dalek in the title? Aside from Big Finish, I think.
The new, well, there's like the Series 9 ones, they don't.
Oh yes, no, yeah, you're right, yeah.
But I mean, certainly in living memory, it's one of those ones like EARTHSHOCK where there is that sense of surprise, and it's not spoiled by the title.
And it would have been, unless there was an exterminate added on the end of the trailer. So, and I kind of thought from that they should have just gone all out and had the Dalek in the marketing and things. They sort of...
Because everyone said it was going to be Resolution of the Dalek. I mean, was it ever going to... I don't know, was it ever going to be that?
I always think that Dalek titles are weird like that. Like, Resolution of... I mean, obviously it wasn't Resolution of the Daleks, but like, Resurrection of the Daleks...
What's that about? Oh, Remembrance.
Yeah.
How does that
what's
like,
the link?
it's a good story, a good title, a good story, but what is the link there?
Yeah, and
it feels like they're just picking words that begin with R and just sticking them on the front.
Well, yeah, it's just the 3 R's.
Well,
Resurrection,
revelation. What is the revelation?
I guess the revelation in it is the fact that Davros is the great healer or whatever.
Yeah, fair enough.
Remembrance, I suppose you could have a tenuous link in that the Doctor's remembered that
From 1963.
it's time to go back to 1963. But resurrection, I have no idea. Like what?
I would not.
Why? What was the deal with that?
I'd have to
It just sounds cool.
really think about that. Yeah.
Another title that I had on my list of titles that sound great but turn out to be terrible. Let's Kill Hitler. When I heard that title, it pops up at the end of Good Man Goes to War. The Doctor will return. Let's Kill Hitler, and I thought, wow. Wow. And then Hitler gets shoved in a cupboard within the first 5 minutes. Obviously they want to avoid being too on the nose with all that Hitler stuff, but how can you have a title like that and then just, maybe it's a Stephen Moffat red herring, like, oh, this is going to be the episode.
I suppose it is, because lots of his titles kind of promise one thing and then turn out to be something else. Or they're not quite clear, are they? They're a bit cryptic sometimes.
Well, I had like, that was one of the things I wanted to touch on, like, titles that have nothing to do with the story, and a lot of the time that's a Moffat story. So The Bells of St. John.
Okay, I mean, I kind of like that, but at the same time, it's the first 5 minutes and then it has nothing else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even like
it's
that.
It's almost like he wrote the first 5 minutes and they were like, what's the title, Stephen? The Bells of St. John. I think that's going to be what the title's going to be.
Yeah, it doesn't have much relevance to the whole thing. I mean, the first 5 minutes, but not to the rest of it so much. And
I mean, like, as much as this is my favourite story, The Empty Child, great title. The Doctor dances. What? It's just it's a very Moffat title.
As a child, I mean, that's a confusing one, isn't it? Because you don't get what's going on there. You got no idea. But then,
if you think about what it actually means, what a weird title.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah.
I mean, I think what I was thinking about. What would I change it to? There's that brilliant line when the Ninth Doctor says, "If you forgot to set your alarm clock, it's Volcano Day." Volcano Day. What a great title that would have been, because it's about the big. The bomb's gonna hit, and we've got only this long to save the world. Volcano Day would have been a great name for that second part, but obviously it was the Doctor Dances instead, which I still love, but it's just a bizarre title.
No, that is a bizarre one.
That had little to do with the plot, other than a sly, innuendo from Rose.
Because the talk of Let's Kill Hitler has got me thinking, if there are any titles that like mention a person or a thing that's only in it, or The Bells of St. John, that's only in it for like what the least amount of time that something from the title appears in. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know what the answer is to that, but
because I mean, the classic series stories are probably very much like, this is the story. This is because it's a number of parts, so it's got to say what exactly is going on. But the new series, I guess, because they're one-parters, you can really play with the titles a bit more. And
it's different because they are kind of more like blockbusters or films in their own right, I suppose.
Particularly Series 7.
That the title plays a bigger role, I guess, these days than back then. Because back then, you just stick the telly on and it'd be Doctor Who, and you wouldn't really think much about, I guess, what it's going to be about. You just watch it because it's Doctor Who.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like, in terms of really clever titles, what would you say? I mean, like, one of the ones that really sticks out to me as being so ingenious is Cold War, because I mean, a story about the Ice Warriors set in that era is just perfect. And you've got all the war going with the Ice Warriors and also the Cold War. I think that's just
There's a lot going on there. Right. There are weird ones like World's Enough in Time, where if you kind of look into the context and the poem and whatever, and you think about it for a bit, it's clever, but then I don't know, I mean, it certainly holds your attention, stuff like that, but then is it effective, is it not? I mean, should you have to think about a title that much, I guess? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that.
Why was it called World Enough in Time?
So the poem is To His Coy Mistress, which we did at school, actually.
Yes, we did,
And it's, had we but world enough in time, this coyness lady be no crime or something, and it's to do with Mistress, Missy, it's to do with the Doctor kind of persuading Missy to come over and join his side rather than the other one.
And also it is about time, I guess. It's very timey.
Time, yes.
Plot.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, like you say, it is quite clever. And one of the more recent one, The Woman Who Fell to Earth.
Oh, yes.
That's quite clever.
Yeah. Well, that completely, you have your expectations and then just flips them around,
Yeah. I thought that was quite clever.
But it also does what it needs to do in that it tells you that the Doctor's a woman now, kind of subtly.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously what the idea was, and then you have the
it pulls you in,
and twist at the end.
You get the twist.
Yeah,
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 absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that's an interesting little point of contention, and also I had a sort of thing of teasery titles, so titles that sort of hint at, oh, this is going to happen. The Doctor's wife, the name of the Doctor. The Husbands of River Song. Do you remember when people thought that was going to be a multi-Doctor story?
I'm not sure I heard that, but,
so like Smith would come back, Tennant would come back, right. And it'd be her trying to like stop them from meeting.
Wow. Gosh.
And you know, like the name of the Doctor, people were obviously like myself included were like, do not.
Well, the Wedding of River Song as well. I mean, that's another one. It's like kind of these outrageous things, and you're like,
yeah.
It is to just kind of like, as you say, draw the attention and make you watch or question what's going on, and then I mean, you do get a wedding. You do get stuff to do with the Doctor's name and the name of the Doctor, but it's like it's not quite.
It's not the answer you're expecting. No. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of one of the biggest like teasery titles. I guess the Doctor's wife. It was long.
That's pretty high up.
I mean, J&T was batting around in the day. So that's probably one of the most infamous sort of titles that really was out there to make you go, oh gosh. So yeah, that's another little title thing that I thought about. You're also saying about one word titles too.
One word, yeah. Well, I've got a list here where I've kind of highlighted all of them. So Hartnell has none. Travis has none.
Yeah, and also the something apart from like
Unearthly
Fury from
Child, the Deep. Marco Polo, Fury from the Deep, Galaxy 4, all that stuff. And Unearthly Child, actually, that's a brilliant title, isn't it?
That is a very good title, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the Tribe of Gum.
Even if it's just, or like 1,000, what is it?
100,000 BC, yeah. I love those alternate titles for the original ones.
Because they didn't have, these stories didn't have them to start with,
exactly.
There's
So many different ones,
yeah.
Because, like, I'm sure there's been times when the new series has repeated ones that have been in the Hartnell ones, because there's been so many different titles.
Yeah, well, there's stuff like Inferno, was that like part of the Daleks Master Plan? Things like that have cropped up again in different scenarios.
Death of Doctor Who.
It's a brilliant title, yeah. Fantastic.
And the Holiday for the Doctor is my personal favourite.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I just love that.
And the next episode they stopped doing individual titles.
Yeah.
In fact, that just reminds me as well of Doctor Who and the Silurians, the kind of contention surrounding that.
Yeah. Because, I mean, do you refer to it as Doctor Who and the Silurians or just the Silurians?
Probably the Silurians, but I've got it written down here as Doctor Who and the Silurians.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't...
on the DVD.
Exactly, yeah. So. The DVD is... And the Silurians.
Yeah.
So, you can't forget that.
No.
I do... There's something quite delightful about that, because it's just like... It's got Doctor Who, and then it says Doctor Who and the Silurians. It's like, oh, that's a bit bizarre. Did you forget
to... reminds me as well of how for all the Target ones, they kind of reformatted them as Doctor Who and this.
The Cave
Doctor
Monsters.
Who does this, whatever, yeah.
Yeah. It's odd how the title that's Doctor Who and the Silurians is one of the ones they change into Doctor Who and the Cave Monsters for the Target books. It's like, you've got it right there, and you've changed it. So, yeah. But Inferno is the first one-word title. For a serial, at least. We'll discount the Hartnell ones, which are one episode.
And then Robots.
Robot, which is a very
Robot's a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's almost like Terran for that kind of King Kong thing.
Yes, no, you're right. Yeah,
it doesn't really work.
And it's almost like Terrence Dicks just sort of he forgot to change it. He was sort of like in the working draft. He was like, just call it Robot, and then he forgot to, backspace.
There's Sharda, there's Meglos. The kind of Meglos, I think, is the first one, or Robot maybe, where it refers to a thing or a person. You get quite a few of them in the new series, like Rose or Rosa, Dalek, things like that. And the ones that Chris H. Bidney did as well, that Legopolis, Castrovalva and Frontios, which are all planets, aren't they? I saw that written down somewhere recently.
That he just likes the punchy.
Yeah, which is interesting. We've not really had that since, where we've got like the name of the planet as the title.
Yes,
in a new series.
And I mean, I was going to say, I think the one-word titles are sometimes some of the best, because it's literally like, this is it, this is what you're getting, and it's, there's no messing around, it's just this.
And if done well, you can kind of read into them different ways, and sometimes simple is best, I think. I mean, just looking at other ones here.
EARTHSHOCK, I'm just saying, EARTHSHOCK is a very odd title because, like, what does that mean? What is an EARTHSHOCK?
To do with the explosion at the end.
Yeah, but like, I've never heard the phrase.
What is it? It's made of earth and shock.
And it's just one word as well. It's not even like a hyphen.
Not two words.
EARTHSHOCK. We never know.
Snake Dance as well. That's kind of another
Snake Dance is an odd,
similar sort of thing. Kinder.
Time Lash.
Dragonfire.
Yeah.
Is there? I mean. Is there a dragon in it? I mean, yes, there is a dragon, but
I think there is a thing.
It's not
there is a Dragonfire. I've only watched it once, but I think there is a. Have you seen it?
I have. Yeah.
Oh, you've got all
the thing is called
the Dragonfire
Dragon
or something like that.
That's,
yeah. So I guess that's fair enough. Battlefield is a very cool title for for a story that's quite naff, but you know, and survival is just fantastic.
A cool title. Yeah.
That I mean,
especially for the last one of
I was going to say
of the classic era.
Now we just before we carry on with the one-word titles, the TV movie. Now this is probably one of the stories that has the most titles because some people call it a TV movie, some people call it just the movie, some people call it Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Because that's technically what it is called. That's the only thing that you get.
The only thing you get on screen. Yeah.
And then it's later. I think was it the writer or the director who said no? The title's Enemy Within.
Oh yeah, that rings a bell.
So you know that's a bizarre one. I mean, I guess everyone just calls it the TV movie, don't they?
Yeah.
Really, which is an odd title to be calling for a Doctor Who story, but there we go. Double meaning
it's
there.
I mean, it's an unusual oddity, and it's
yeah. You're right.
As I say, in the new series, you get things like Rose,
Dalek. I love how Dalek. They could have really, they've gone the return of the Daleks or something, but they just, Dalek.
Well, it's like doing the Daleks again, but just it's like a new series equivalent of that, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, if we ever get another revival of Doctor Who, they won't be able to repeat that trick. They've taken the "the" away and the S off the end. They can't do anything else now.
Like just
stripped it completely.
Carled, maybe. Yeah.
Gridlock 42. 42.
Yeah, because that's the only Doctor Who title without any letters in.
Yes.
Technically.
I mean, that's really telling you what you're getting. But then even though 42, I mean...
It's not the focus of the story.
No, and like, a Doctor Who episode is usually 45 minutes, isn't it? But, I mean, I don't know what's going on. I mean, they're not all...
I mean, you've got to have 3 minutes at the end to wrap up
the credits and stuff. But, and I guess that 42 minutes of actual
And also people...
action.
I imagine when that came out, because like 42 is the answer to everything. Or if in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that's the number. Have you ever heard that? Have you
possibly.
I guess a lot of people would have thought, oh, it's something to do with that or a conundrum or something like that. Yeah. That's an odd thing, conundrum. I wonder if it would be called something else conundrum for another Chibnall story. Blink is probably the most infamous one-word title, isn't it? Really, because I mean, as an episode, it's loved by so many.
Yeah, that's very good, very ambiguous. I mean, that and the series 4 stories like Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead, in terms of Moffat stuff, and Midnight. I mean, as a kid, you look at that and you think... I think when I saw Silence in the Library, I thought, okay, it's going to be set in a natural library with like a librarian telling the Doctor to shush or something. And Midnight, it is... And Midnight's another Planet one, I guess, actually, isn't it?
Yeah,
but it's,
probably the only planet name in the title, New Who, at least.
I mean, you don't know what that's alluding to. Is it alluding to the time of day or what? And it's just...
Very ambiguous.
They get you excited, I think, as a child going into those types of stories.
I like the titles that you really have no idea about, like really odd ones, like recently, like just the TSURANGA Conundrum was a very odd title that you have no idea what's going on there really.
Well, there are some that you need to watch episodes to understand, really, aren't there? I guess.
Yeah. Like Poison Sky. That's a really bizarre title, isn't it? Another one you have no idea until you watch the episode what's going on there.
And the Doctor's Doors, that's another kind of
it's a hook you in
one. Yeah, the Unicorn and the Wasp, that's another weird one actually. I mean,
and I love that. I think it's a very Agatha Christie title, isn't it? You can imagine a novel being called that.
Yeah. But it's like if you take it literally as a child, and it's like, okay,
where's the unicorn?
Where is it? Confusing.
And Turn Left, I remember really sticking out to me as a kid too. And the Stolen Earth, Journey's End, The Stolen Earth in particular, like that's just a epic title,
Yeah, Horse of Mars. The 11th Hour too.
Yes, 11th Hour.
The Beast Below. That reminds me of a thing I saw the other day on Twitter where it's like, or maybe it's not appropriate to say here, but the stories that, if you take them in a different context, sound a bit weird. Yeah.
That sounds like a Moffat thing in itself, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, true actually.
The Doctor dances, the Beast below.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Gosh. Things like A Christmas Carol, self-explanatory.
Impossible Astronaut, Day of the Moon. I remember when that came out. That really intrigued me. I was like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, because again, astronaut. You think? What do you think? Do you think like 1969 or NASA or what?
Why is it impossible?
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's the questions you get from that.
Yeah,
you don't get as many questions from something like, Resurrection of the Daleks as you do from the Impossible Astronaut. That's
Oh, and the God Complex. That's a brilliant.
Oh yeah, no, that's very and like you said, it's got like a double meaning to it and
meanings.
Yeah, exactly.
Closing time.
Well, I can't wait to show you. We're gonna just look at some alternate titles as well. The original working titles. I can't wait to show you the one for closing time. It's just mad.
I think as a child, I thought, because we just had the Cracking Time stuff, so I thought, okay, it's going to be about like closing gaps in time.
Right,
and then actually it's just to do with closing time.
Yeah, of a shop.
Yeah. It's not closing time, it's closing time.
In fact, that's very odd, because again, there's nothing really to do with the story, does it? It's not an important factor. Oh, the shop's going to close,
it's just like
finish
all
this
the
quick.
action takes place after opening hours, but apart from that, nothing. Things like the Doctor, the Widow and the Ward. What do you think of that? Because
I was thinking about that actually. Yeah. I was like, what titles do I really not like? And I think that's one of them, because it's just like you're literally just doing the Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe and just trying to shoehorn in elements.
She's not even an actual widow.
No,
is she?
And the whole wardrobe thing is literally just one line by the Doctor. Oh, this is my wardrobe.
I don't know.
It's a whimsical one, but it's not like one of my favourites.
Because there's things like that and the Dickens Christmas Carol. I'm not sure if there are any later ones where they like riff off.
There were certainly some working titles that were.
Well, because that would be the first port of call.
And think of Class. There's about all of them are like songs. The co-owner of A Lonely Heart, which is the dreadful title for the Class.
I don't know any of these.
Owner of a Lonely Heart. It's a owner of a lonely.
Oh right.
And they just co-owner of them off. And there's another one. What's the other part of that episode? Bravish Heart. That's the one. Obviously, riffing off the title, Braveheart.
Okay.
Bravish.
Yeah.
So Class did them terribly.
Class gets weird ones, like the metaphysical engine, or what Quill did. It's just like what? What?
Yeah, no. Class had some very weird titles.
Yeah, weird.
Was it the coach owner with the dragon tattoo or something like that?
Yes, and it's like, is it going to be a coach or a person? Oh gosh, and then the Doctor, the trilogy, things like Journey to the Centre of TARDIS, as we say, which just
which
and
just sets up John. I like the Crimson Horror. I think that's a very Mark Gatiss title.
Very good.
The Crimson Horror.
Very kind of gothic-y, and it's like a not Dickens, Conan Doyle kind of story.
Yes,
isn't it?
it is. Yes, so right. Yeah. Because the Doctor has all that sort of element of the hats and things. Yeah.
I guess we ended up going through them chronologically now, basically. So we've got the Capaldi ones.
Yeah. Robot of Sherwood. Do you remember when that was originally Robots of Sherwood, and they changed it last minute to Robot of Sherwood?
That rings a bell, because I always used to. I never knew. Yeah, I used to get confused about which way around it was. Yeah, because
and I think they did that because there's a whole idea that Robin Hood might be an artificial creation.
The sheriff.
Yes,
you don't see the chop his head. So Listen, I like Listen.
Listen's very good. There's a lot of you got.
It's like Blink, isn't it?
Yeah, Listen, Blink, Deep Breath. I'm trying to think of other ones that tell you not to do stuff.
I guess the verbs aren't telling you what to do or whatever.
Yeah, Kill the Moon is a title that I don't like. I don't know why. I think it's just it doesn't make sense to me. Like, kill the moon.
It's sort of one of those kind of hook you in ones, isn't it? I guess. But it's like outrageous sort of things where it's like kill the moon.
Yeah.
The Caretaker as well. That's one that I always used to think that was a bit too simple, but actually I think that works.
Yeah. And if you think about the whole she's my carer.
Taking care. Yeah.
That's another double meaning.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Mummy on Orient Express is just a fantastic title. It's just brilliant,
Dark Water is another one where it's like a thing that it's a cool title, but it's a thing that appears for like 5 minutes or gets mentioned once.
Yeah. You're right. It's a cool title though. I like Dark Water.
And Death in Heaven.
Which is very clever, actually. I was thinking, is that another Moffat one, which doesn't make sense? But if you think about it, I mean, heaven is the nether sphere, and then they're all obviously die at the end. So
well, heaven, you get heaven and then heaven and hell later in.
Well, yeah, I think
9,
that as much as I don't like Hellbent, I think that's very clever. You got heaven sent, Hellbent. It's just and Moffat was very clever at doing that with titles.
Little pairs
So Magician's Apprentice, Witch's Familiar, Zygon Inversion, Zygon Invasion.
Under the Lake Before the
Girl
Flood.
Who Died, Woman Who Lived. Most of Series 9, to be honest.
Basically all of that, yeah. And then we get to Series 10 and we got all these kind of like shortish ones.
Yeah.
Because I remember in that trailer, and they're all on the book spines. And
and people were like looking.
Are these titles, or are they too short to be titles? Could they, could they possibly be the titles?
Especially the first the first 6, are very short. None more than 2 words. The pilot is an interesting one, isn't it? That has so many different meanings, and it was originally going to be called The Star in Her Eye.
Yes, and they changed that, I think, just because of commercial marketing reasons.
Yeah, and also, I mean, what do you think? Do you think The Pilot is a better title?
I think, to be honest, The Star in Her... No, it's a simpler title, and I don't really get the whole thing of like, it's a pilot, it's the first episode. I don't really like that too much, and even in the story, it's only mentioned that she's a pilot once, I think. And it's not even clear if it's Heather or the person that Heather's trying to get, like Bill, or who the pilot is.
Just saying, like, out of note, I love The Pilot. I watched it again, and I just think it's a great episode of Doctor Who. That's just...
I watched it recently. I thought...
Do you not like it?
It went down a bit. I mean,
I loved it. I loved it even more.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's one of my favourites.
Yeah. For me, I liked it more before I'd seen it again. And then I don't know, just... I really don't know.
I think it's more the feel, like when
the
series
tone of it.
The tone is great, and also that time, when Series 10 came out, I remember really just loving it as it came out.
Fair.
So I think that's probably part of it. But no, I think The Pilot is great. Anyway, that's not a title thing, but
these are weird ones. Like Smile is good, and Thin Ice, Knock Knock, sort of.
Well, you got little David Suchet tapping on things, Oxygen's cracking. That's a great title.
And the monk one's Extremis, Pyramid End of the World, Light of the Land.
The longest title ever, I think,
is
Pyramid at the End of the World.
Is it?
I mean, I don't know if Greatest Show in the Galaxy is as long.
The Doctor, the Widow and the Wardrobe's Is that... That's what... Well, that's also 7,
and it's also an interesting thing in that has another episode title within it, like as in the end of the world. Is within?
I remember that coming up in a quiz once, and
it's odd that.
Yeah, there are instances of that where you got the really simple ones, and then they crop up again.
Empress of Mars is probably one of the most classic series titles. That's in a new series.
Definitely.
I like that.
Definitely, and the Eaters of Light even as well. I think.
The Eaters of Light is a very 7th Doctor sounding one, which is Rona Monroe.
Yeah.
So, and then we've talked about World Enough Time, and and then we've got the most recent series. There's a good few one-word titles in there, isn't it? Very sort of varied length, isn't it?
Kablam was the first one to feature like punctuation. Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know actually. The exclamation mark, definitely. Because I think Love and Monsters now isn't that actually like the little symbol for and? I'm pretty sure. As opposed to the word.
Right. Okay. That might be. I don't know. There might be
I think there might be a comma. Certainly apostrophes for stuff. There are other little bits I think.
It's definitely time we've had like a exclamation mark or a.
I'm sure there's one where there's the Doctor, the Widow and the Wardrobe. There's a comma in that, I think, definitely.
We've had episodes of spin-off series that have like whatever happened to Sarah Jane. That's a question mark, isn't it? Or is it? I don't know actually.
Sure. Maybe.
I mean, it is a question.
Sure. It's a question.
So,
I don't know. I mean. I think these are pretty solid overall.
And the Witchfinders is another classic series really, kind of sounding one. I like that. I think that's my favourite title of the Series 11 ones, unusually, because it's a very simple title, but I really like that.
It Takes You Away is one that kind of confused me at the time after I'd seen it, and there are other meanings to it, like the solid tract taking you away from the real universe or whatever, or... I don't know, I'm not sure. And the Battle of RANSKOOR of KOLOS is one where there is a battle, but it took place before.
And the thing about that title is it's a title that puts you off in a weird way. In that
it's another planet one, actually, isn't it?
No, you're right. But like also, I mean, like the Battle of RANSKOOR of KOLOS, that does not draw me in. that it just makes me sort of go, why should I care about the battle of something?
It's a bit too broad, maybe.
Yeah.
I guess there's not a thing there that kind of grounds it.
Yeah,
I suppose.
And it's just because the battle suggests a huge epic scale, and we don't know anything about RANSKOOR of KOLOS, so it's like
50 minutes, and
nothing happens. So yeah, and then finally the most recent one, Resolution, which a lot of people, like you say, were sort of gunning for resolution of the Daleks, but we didn't get that in the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, I quickly said to Richard before we started recording that I thought it'd be interesting to have a look at alternate titles. So the classic series ones are very sort of, very classic sounding ones, like Day of the Daleks was originally going to be called The Years of Doom, and
the War Machine's going to be called
the War Machine. Yeah, the War Machine's going to be. Can you imagine that? That's mad. But that would have been very alien.
So quickly, wouldn't it? But at the time, that would have seemed really cool.
And State of Decay, I would have loved if that was called The Wasting.
Oh yeah,
The Wasting would have been a great name. And I think Terrence Dicks was gunning for that, but I think because Christopher H. Bidmead was going for a sort of very. The State of Decay is more. It fits with that season 18 vibe, I guess, more than The Wasting.
Less traditional, I suppose, maybe, isn't it?
The Visitation. I think now a lot of these, I think, are sort of placeholder names, because The Visitation was originally going to be called Invasion of the Plague Men, which I doubt that was the official title.
The Plague City novel, actually.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, the classic ones are quite interesting, but it's the new series ones that are really interesting. Now, Rose apparently was originally going to be called Rose Meets the Doctor, just literally that. Now, I think that must have been just Russell T Davies' placeholder name, because that's a terrible title.
I imagine, yeah. I guess maybe
especially compared to
convince
Rose.
them to have it just as Rose.
Yeah.
And he gave them that as an alternative.
Unquiet Dead, originally My Name's Dickens, Charles Dickens, ... in there.
That's like that's that a one title there.
Yeah. There's that
My
one
Name's
title,
Dickens, Charles Dickens. Gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Crippingwell Horror, that would have been quite an interesting one. Interesting Crimson
Very
Horror
Dickens.
later on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Dalek was originally going to be called Return of the Daleks. Creature of Lies or Absence of the Daleks, which I think was when they didn't have the license for them. Yeah.
That one there, World War 3 is 10 Downing Street.
Yeah.
What?
That would have been weird.
How does that link to Doctor Who?
Yeah, some interesting ones here. The Long Game was originally going to be called The Companion Who Couldn't, which fits, I guess.
Gives it away, though, a bit.
Yeah.
I like that for Father's Day, Wounded Time. Wounded
Time's a very good one. And the original title for Boomtown, Dining with Monsters, which I think would have been a brilliant title.
Seeing that there for The Empty Child, World War 2. How would... I guess to tie into the World War 3 era in the series.
Yeah. I mean, whether that was at the same time as when World War 3 was originally going to be called Downing Street.
Well, yeah, maybe they changed them all.
Yeah. And the Doctor Dances was originally going to be called Captain Jacks, which I imagine Captain Jacks was originally Captain Jack's name.
Yeah, that's right.
That would have been an odd for part 2, because you're meeting him in part 1. So
yeah.
And then you got series 2, New Earth, Body Swap. That would have been an interesting title.
Those look great for this finale. Torchwood.
Well, yes, I was going to say, because that's the only instance I've seen Davies do a 2-parter which links.
Like Moffat.
Yeah. So Army of Ghosts would have been Torchwood Rises, and then Doomsday, Torchwood Falls. That would have been great. I don't know why they do that. Because
of having Torchwood, the TV show, it might be confusing. Maybe that's why.
And also, it kind of suggests that Torchwood's the focus, which it really, especially for the second part, it really isn't. Like Torchwood is just
basically, and the Doctor.
Fear Her had really... Look at these alternate titles for Fear Her. So, Chloe Webber Destroys the World, or You're a Bad Girl, Chloe Webber. As in a sense, You're a Bad Girl, Chloe Webber.
Dear.
Which is very disturbing for a child. So, yeah.
11 Monsters, I Love the Doctor.
Yeah, and you're right, it was a mark there.
So weird.
So Smith and Jones was originally going to be called
Martha.
Martha.
To mirror with
I guess so, yeah. But then I think that would have been a bit like, so every companion introduction, are we just going to have the name of the companion?
Doing the same trick again.
Shakespeare Code was originally going to be called Love's Labour's Won, which is obviously the play that disappears. I think that would have been quite cool.
And the Shakespeare Code is a great title.
And quite cool how the... we've had a sort of a Dickens novel as a title, we've had a C.S. Lewis novel title, and it'd be quite cool to have a Shakespeare title for the Shakespeare episode. And Blink, originally going to be called Sally Sparrow and the Weeping Angels. I don't know if that might have been a placeholder name.
Well, that one there, the Madness of Professor
Lazarus is a good one, yeah. Now these special ones, I think I've read about a lot of these in the writer's tale, because you hear Russell sort of debating over what titles he's going to call these various episodes. The Court of the CyberKing for the next Doctor, but I guess you really want the draw to be the next Doctor, not the CyberKing, don't you? And I think Benjamin Cook might have been the one to say to Russell...
Does he have a hand in it?
He might have said, that title's good, but wouldn't it be better to have the focus be, this nebulous Doctor?
So I remember reading that at the time, actually, because he says the perfect title for this story would be The Two Doctors.
Yeah.
It's already taken, so...
Now, a lot of these Series 6 ones I remember because this was sort of the days that... Did you ever go on the website Doctor Who TV? And they used to do a lot of spoilers and updates and things. And during Series 6 time, because I was like 11 years old, I was a sucker for spoilers. If there was anything that was going to happen, I was like, I have to know about it. So, like, Day of the Moon was originally going to be called Look Behind You, which is a very creepy title. I mean, that's eerie. And Night Terrors was originally going to be called What a Little Boy's Made Of, which I think is equally spooky.
I remember hearing some of these, like The Doctor's Wife is... I can't remember which one.
Bigger on the Inside.
Bigger on the Inside. I think I've seen one of them before. And certainly for A Good Man Goes to War, I remember Moffat saying, I think maybe in Doctor Who magazine or something, it's either going to be this or this. What was the other one?
Demon's Run.
Probably.
I think Demon's Run would have been a good
Darkest Hour. I think it was between those two.
Okay,
actually.
yeah.
And certainly Night Terrors was referred to as What a Little Boy's Made Of.
For a long time, and then the alternative title for closing time, 3 Cybermen and a Baby.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Gosh.
3 Cybermen and a Baby. Which I think is a play-off. I think there's a movie called 3 Men and a Baby.
Okay, and Gareth Roberts, I can imagine him doing something.
I think that might have been one of his jokey titles, so I can't imagine that being on a Doctor Who credits thing. And then The Last Adventure as well, that would have been an interesting one, because obviously it's his last hurrah, isn't it? It's his last...
I suppose it is. Which reminds me of the 6th Doctor one now.
The Ultimate Adventure.
In hindsight.
Yeah.
And his last one.
Oh, no, yes.
The Big Finisher one.
Yeah, wasn't that called The Last Adventure?
I'm pretty sure it was called The Last Adventure or something very similar.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember it now. And then Power of 3, I remember that was going to be called Cubed.
Cubed, yes.
And Hyde. Now, there's another one, because originally it was going to be called Phantoms of the Hex. And I think The Hydra in the House was also another title that was thrown around. I remember that. And Nightmare in Silver, The Last Cyberman.
Because there was a script left in a taxi, and I'm pretty sure it's had The Last Cyberman on it. But I always thought that was a weird one, and I think they changed that. I'm pretty sure they changed that with like a week to go. Because I think in the Radio Times it might have been listed as The Last Cyberman, or at least for the episode guide at the start of the series. And I always thought that's a bit of a weird title.
It's
changed it to something cooler.
So yeah, you got that, and then Series 8, yes, we were right. Robot of Sherwood is originally going to be called Robots of Sherwood. In the Forest of the Night was going to be Child's Play, which, if you know the film Child's Play, that would have been a very odd link. Dark Water originally going to be called The Gates of Paradise, which is interesting. And Trap Street was originally going to be called Face the Raven. A Star in Her Eye, the pilot. So that's interesting. I like just looking at what we could have had, and I do remember a lot of these titles being kicked around. I don't know if I prefer any of them to what we got. Whether any of them were changed for the better, or I
guess they'll always have a certain charm about them because they weren't.
They wouldn't want the titles that never were.
That's where that charm comes from.
Yeah, but it's interesting, thinking. Imagine having that on the shelf instead of, what we had.
Because it's interesting when you get a new round of a new batch of titles, and you kind of have to get used to them in your head and add them to the canon and the way that you think about them. Because I can list all the new series ones pretty much in order, I think, and just kind of like adding into that. I remember for Series 11 because they didn't have the episode guide from
the Radio Times,
and they just came out. I remember they came out a few at a time, didn't they?
Bit by bit.
And that was an interesting way to do it, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, I really do remember, like you say, the moments when you saw the full list of episode titles for the series, or sometimes it would be nearly full, and it'd be like for the finale, it'd be like TBC or you know.
I'm off that going. I'm going to keep you
I'm going to keep this secret. Yeah.
So that's about it for Doctor episode titles. Please comment your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear what you think about all the things we've discussed. And yeah, see you soon for more stuff. We've recorded some stuff already.
Yep.
Doing a bit more today, I think. So check out Mars's channel. Check out all the other things we're doing at the moment.
Yeah.
And yeah,
stay tuned.
Goodbye for now. Bye bye.